Hello and welcome to another episode of Paving the Way. Once again, I'm Seth Amoa, also known as SA. I'm here with Kenny Jean-Louis, also known as KJL. And today we're here with, we talk about paving the way for Quebec basketball. His name, it kept coming up. People have been contacting us to get him on the show, and we finally got a hold of him. You know, he's a very, very busy man. He's done a lot of big stuff for not just Quebec basketball, but for Canadian basketball. And we'll get more into the interview. Please, everyone, give it up for Peter Yannopoulos. If I said that right, I'm sure, yeah.
Hey, guys, you did it well. You did it well. Thank you for having me, Seth and Kenny. You guys are doing a great job, and we finally got the right time to do this, and I'm so excited to be on your show.
Thanks, appreciate it.
Donc, la première question qu'on pose à tout le monde, we ask everyone, is when's the passion for basketball started for you?
Oh, my God, what a great question. Listen, I grew up in Montreal as a Greek kid in St. Leonard, and I played hockey and I played soccer like everybody else. And I love playing those two sports. And then I started watching one player, and I love him to this day. He's my athletic hero. He goes by the name of Irvin Magic Johnson. Okay. Lake Show, the Lakers, number 32. I fell in love with Magic. I didn't like Larry Bird at the time, but I respected Larry Bird, and I think I respect him more today. But those two guys, the rivalry, Celtics and Lakers, I just started loving the game of basketball. And then there's another guy that came a couple of years later, number 23 from Chicago, Michael Jordan. And then when I started watching those two guys, Magic against Bird, I was in high school, and my high school was École Secondaire de Robertval. And it was in the East End, Papineau, Jean Talon, Métrophobe. And I was in secondary 2. And when I was in secondary 1, I would watch the team play, the high school team. And these guys were so good. And the team was full of Haitians. They were athletic. They could score. They had swag. And my best friend, his name was Dejan Toncic. We were in the same grade. We watched them together. And then we say, hey, man, why don't we try out? And I didn't know how to play basketball. I didn't know anything. But then I tried out to make the team. And then that's where it happened. And the passion just went from there.
Okay. Did you said you played hockey, right? Would you ever thought of, being in Montreal, it's a hockey city. Do you sometimes think about it and you're like, maybe you should have played hockey? Or you're just like, basketball is the way to go. So you loved it. So you went.
It's a good question, Seth. I mean, I played hockey and a pretty decent level. I was playing like in high school. I went up to midget AA. So I was playing hockey at a AA letter, like the highest level. And I was playing basketball. So I would practice when I made the team in secondary 2, and I played 4 years in high school. I would practice from 3 o'clock. We'd get into the gym and stay there till 6:30. I would leave at 6:30, run, take the bus, the Métrophobe, back to Jean Talon, Saint Michel, go to St. Leonard, get my hockey bag, and go to practice, and then play hockey. So, that era, we played a lot of sports. I know you guys too. We were versatile. We played a lot of things. But then basketball, when it came to the next level where I was going to go to Cégep. I had an opportunity to go play Quebec junior hockey, but then I got recruited to go play at Champlain St. Lambert, and I just said basketball's the way to go, man.
Jeez, okay.
Puis t'as dit t'as été recruté à Champlain. Was that other school that were recruiting you at that time?
Yeah, there was 2 schools. It was Dawson and Champlain, and a lot of people don't know this, but I initially accepted to go to Dawson. Olga Rykak recruited me. I had the Dawson blue shirt, and I went there, and my friends were there. But when I got there, man, there was like 15 guys that were recruited. It was a stacked team. And I was like, what's going on? So we went our different ways, Olga and myself. And that's when I transferred after 1 semester, and I went to Champlain. And then I played 2.5 years at Champlain. Joe Evely was the coach, and Craig Norman, as you know, was an assistant. Dan Evely was an assistant there too, played a big role in my development as a player when I played at Champlain St. Lambert.
Was the transition from high school to Cégep, was it challenging for you, or did you adapt quickly?
It's a big level, right? And, when I played in high school, and I have to talk about my high school, right? My high school is where I became the player that I was, and the man that I am. And I owe it all to all my teammates, all my brothers that I played with. But there's one guy that I owe it all to, and it was my high school coach, and his name is Vélie Janvier. Vélie Janvier is just an incredible human being. He was a great coach, great leader of young men. We used to take the bus after big practices and games because he lived in Anjou. I lived in Saint Leonard. And then just the talks. And my first year, guys, secondary 2, I was on the bench. And I was always next to him, just trying to learn the game. And he taught me so much about the swag. He was really a lot with the Miami Hurricanes. He played football at elite level. He helped Tim Biakabatuka make the NFL. And he used to tell me all these things. And I was just mesmerized. He was my hero. He was my mentor, my coach. And to this day, the reason, I am now, professionally working in the NBA and doing TV and all radio, it's because of him. And just the attitude, the way we played defense. We were cocky. We talked trash, but that's what he taught us. But to be confident but respectful. And then I had a pretty good career. At the Roberval, my last year, I averaged 30 points a game. I was a power forward at first because we had a lot of good guards. But then he said, you know what, my last year, he says, you're going to play point guard. And that's how I developed the skills to become, play Cégep AAA basketball.
Jeez.
And what were you doing every year and every summer to get better? Because you said secondary 2, you were not playing, and then secondary 5, you were averaging like 30 points. So what were you doing that time to get better?
Yeah, that's true. Yeah, that's pretty.
It's a great question, Kenny. 2 things. Number 1, I watched so much basketball. I would watch NBA basketball. Obviously, Jordan started getting good. When he hit that shot in 1989 against the Cavaliers down by 1, double pump over Craig Elo. I had my Air Jordans that my dad and my uncle bought in New York and gave them to me. I put those on. I went to Parc La Dauversière and I started shooting that shot. So I watched a lot of basketball, NCAA basketball. I was just like a student of the game. But where I got really better, guys, is I played in the park. I played in the park, in the East End, in Montreal North, Parc Cavigna, Parc Hébert, all these, that's where basketball we played. We didn't have all these indoor facilities, and there was no really too much AAU and be able to practice with trainers. You played in the park, and that's where you got good. And it was only the strongest survived. One of my mentors, Big Cadet, he had it tattooed on his arm, only the strongest survive. And then we really started getting good in high school. Our team was really athletic and strong. But then Veli Janvier started bringing our team to the Black League. And I don't know if you guys remember the Black League. It was in NDG in the community center, and it was a league run by Roger McDonald. And let me tell you, man, it was tough to play there. And there wasn't too many Greek guys in there, let me tell you. So if you were going in there, I always tell people today, I went in there as a boy and I walked out of there as a man. But to get better, it was playing in the park, playing in the cages, and just the passion of the game. And I got better as a player.
Wow. So you said you started playing basketball in Sec 2 and you got recruited, I guess, to go to Cégep in Sec 5. So that's 4 years of just nonstop basketball. So that's pretty cool. That's pretty cool. I don't hear that much, that fast pace getting better. At Champlain, your career there, for sure, you had a really good career, as I know. How was that? If you could just walk through your career at Champlain.
Yeah, no, it was ultimately one of the best decisions I ever made. And I think Kenny, will understand that. And then so many players that went to Champlain. But I mean, there's so many good schools, Seth. You made a great decision going to Vanier, right? And Momo and Dawson. There was so many. But at Champlain, for me, it was just going to a school in the South Shore. And I knew nothing about the South Shore. I remember I went to Longueuil Metro one time in my life. And then I'm like going to school there every day, taking the bus an hour and a half. But then, a couple of my best friends, Jonas Germana, Marcelin Emile, guys that I played with in high school or against in high school, they were there and we went and we played together. And then it just got better. There wasn't too much tradition at the beginning when I got there. The team was not bad, but guys were flunking out. And then we got together one year and, we were 7-1. My second year there, we were 4th in the country. Larry Dudevoir from Sir Winston Churchill, Dawson Community Blues, he came and he fit into that trash talk, that swagger. And we went after Momo. We went after Dawson, those guys. They were like, who are you guys? And I had a pretty good career, playing as a combo guard. And my last year, obviously, it was exciting. You tried. The league was so competitive, guys. You guys played in it. I always say Cégep basketball is the best league in Canada. Competitive, so many good players. And my last year, I was the captain of the team. I think I was second in assists. And then Craig Norman became an assistant coach my last year. And he's another guy, and Kenny knows him really well. He took my game to the next level. I think I was averaging 11 points a game. And then with him, I went up to, I think, 17 or 18. I scored 40 points in my last game of my career. And it's just getting better, right? You just play, practice. It's that work ethic. And I just love to play. I love going to practice. I love just having the ball, being with the fellas, and competing. And so that was my career at Champlain St. Lambert.
Okay. Yeah. You said Craig Norman, he definitely helped my game up. Can you talk a little bit how he helped you? Because you said like when he, I guess, came in, he took your game up to the next level. So how did he help you? Because I already know how he helped me. So I just want to.
Well, Craig Norman came the last year, and we had an assistant called Dan Evely, and he was so good our second year. But then he moved to Edmonton. So we needed a new assistant, and then we heard this guy, Craig Norman, is going to come in and be our coach. We didn't know who he was. And the first day he walked in, we were practicing. We were doing some drills, some layups. There was no coach, right? And Craig Norman comes in. I guess we were going not hard enough. We were going soft, Kenny. And he just says, hey, what are you guys doing? Everybody get on the line. Start running. They're doing the suicide. And we're like, what's going on? But that was Craig. He goes, you guys think you're going to beat Dawson or Vanier or Momo playing like that? You're not playing hard enough. So I was like, okay. And then we just started having a good relationship. I had a lot of talks with him, and then he pushed me. He helped me, in terms of he identified my skill set. And trying to get better. I was a physical guard. I was a big guard. He helped me use my shoulder. He goes, don't, go around the contact. Go into the defensive player's shoulder. You hit him and just go straight. And just that little thing was like, wow, I'm just going by guys or they're getting fouled. So Craig was always on me, but he had a lot of confidence in me. And he's just a great mentor, probably one of the greatest basketball minds, not only in Canada, but in North America. I think he's a level 4. He was an all-Canadian player. And I just, similar to Veli Janvier in my high school, I just had this bond with him, and I would just pick his brain. I would ask him everything about what he did in his career, how he played. He was an aggressive player. So there was just that great connection. And to this day, we remain like very good friends.
Okay.
And also, you said your last game you scored like 40 points. You said
40 points, yeah.
Jeez.
It was. Il y a sûrement beaucoup d'écoles universitaires qui te recrutaient. Can you talk about, I guess, your recruiting process?
Yeah. When I was, my last year, I started, you guys know, right? Your third year in Cégep, you're more mature, you physically, you're at your prime, your peak, and you understand the game. So things were getting better for me. And Norman was so good. And that game, I think, was at Sainte Foy. And we won the game. And you know how it is when you go play at Sainte Foy. They don't like the teams coming out there beating them, right, guys? So, I was trashing them to the crowd because we won the game. But I always asked for the tape, and they never gave me the tape. So I'm trying to get that tape, guys. I need that VHS tape. I need to show Pave the Way. I need to show my son, but it's okay. We'll find it one day, maybe. But yeah, in terms of recruiting, the recruiting process, some coaches did recruit me. McGill recruited me. Ottawa U recruited me. And I think that those were the two biggest schools. I almost committed to go to Ottawa. But it didn't really work out. And with McGill, it didn't work out the same way. And Craig Norman actually was like, because there was only 4 teams that played in Quebec. And now there's 5. And as you know, guys, right, that's the one thing that's tough for Quebec basketball. If we had 8, 9 teams, I think more kids would stay and play at home. But guys want to go, Seth, Kenny, you guys did it, right? You want to play against different guys. So I wasn't, too enamored about staying here. But the guy that really changed everything was Craig Norman, because Craig said that, hey, why don't you, he became the head coach the year after I graduated, like after he got the head job. And then he's like, why don't you come coach with me? And he hired John DeAngelis that you guys had on, and you guys know how close JD's my brother. So Craig said, just come and coach with us. And he knew that I had the coaching, mentality and that coaching hat. And it was a tough decision because I would have loved to keep on playing, and I would have loved to play university ball. And you guys, you know what that is. But that's what life was, and that's the decision I made. In retrospect, I wouldn't change anything because I'm in a perfect situation right now. But you always want to play a little bit, and keep on playing. And I didn't play that because I started in secondary too, right? So my career wasn't that long. But I think it was the best decision because I learned from 2 of the greatest coaches all time in Quebec and Canada. I worked under Craig Norman for 2 years, and John DeAngelis was the assistant, and then John took over the coach. So that was the trio. Craig Norman, John DeAngelis, and Peter Yannopoulos. You could ask the guys how tough the practices were back then, baby. It was fun.
That's great.
And
okay. Oh, can you go? It's okay.
So can you talk a little bit about your first year of coaching? Was it hard? Was it challenging? Like,
it was different because, I was 19 years old, right? So I just finished, Cégep, and then, I went to study at Concordia University. I didn't get recruited by Concordia. The coach at the time, John Doerr, great coach. They had a lot of success, but I don't think he was recruiting too many players. So I decided to start coaching, but I was going to school. So I would finish school. I would either take the Metro to go to practice, or JD would pick me up. Guy Concordia Metro, let's go, Pete. Let's go to practice. Meet Craig. So we were passionate guys, 3 young, energetic coaches, but we didn't have that much talent. So we tried to install work ethic, confidence, a platform for success. So it was a little bit difficult because I was mixing, school and being a young player, and the guys, they would come and watch me play the year before. Eric Zulu, Mike Francois, these guys, and then I became their coach, but the relationships are always there. So till this day, those guys, the first 2 years were tough. We didn't win that many games. I think the first year we won 2 games, the second year 5 games in conference. But those guys paved the way for what the Champlain program ended up, because they put in the work to get the program back where it needed to be.
Was it hard? Was it hard to get the respect from other players just because you were so young coaching, or was it?
I think at the end of the day, Seth, it's who you are as a person and what you have as a character. If you're in the gym and you're there, and the one thing about me is I could never be an assistant coach or any coach if I'm not going to be there full time. It's tough being a part-time coach, because you guys know, right? The players, if you're not always there, you're going to respect, you'll always respect the guy that's coming. But if they're not there every single time, through the grind, through the bad times, not only the good times at the games, right? So I immediately connected with the players, because I would always get there. And the one thing I always had is that passion. I had to be there. I loved the game. And then I wanted to become, an elite coach. I never got a chance to play NCAA basketball. It was a dream. Back then, not as many guys got there. Some really good players in my generation did get there. But I said, you know what? If I didn't get as a player, my dream was to get there as a coach. And ultimately that happened. So I was happy with that.
Okay. And so you started coaching at 19. You didn't do so well your first 2 years. A part of you did you ever want to quit? And you're like, maybe this is not for me because we're not doing good. I just finished I just kind of retired from basketball. I'm young. Did you want to quit, or?
Well, my dad was like, concentrate on school, and we need you to get a good job, and you should have played hockey because you had more talent in hockey than you had in basketball. That was my dad. But he was always tough on me on that side. But no, I didn't. I never wanted to quit because, one, I loved the guys that I was coaching with, Craig and John, and then 2, I just love the players. It's just you guys know it. It's a brotherhood that when you walk into that gym, and it's not only the practice or the games, it's afterwards, sitting down, making those relationships, talking about life, the jokes, and sometimes some more serious talk. So I connected with my players so much. And then after that, when John became the head coach, and then I bumped up being, the top assistant, then we said, okay, you know what? We're going to change the game in Quebec. We're going to change the way Cégep is going to be. We're going to recruit the best players, and we're going to tell them that we're going to develop them, number 1. Number 2, we're going to get them a scholarship in the States. And number 3, we're going to start winning. And it was different. Then we wore our suits. We wore our ties. We were like NCAA coaches. We recruited kids. We went into their homes. We met their parents. And we made it big time. And then when you came into a game at Champlain on a Friday night, 9 o'clock, there was 4 or 5 coaches dressed in suits. We were serious because this is where, and it was fun. It was, and I think, John said it perfectly. You win when you have the best players, right? And we recruited the best players, but we recruited players that wanted to be part of this program. And that's what I love the most. And sometimes, you know what? I'm going to school. I got to do well in school because I got a career that I got to get to. And then I'm taking the bus. I didn't come from a very affluent family. I'm taking the bus back home. It's an hour and a half. Some of my friends are going out, they're going to vacations. And in the summertime, we started taking the team to Kentucky, Louisville, Kentucky, at a AU tournament. So I would drive a Pontiac Grand Am one year. We took the bus the car 18 hours. So I'm in Louisville, Kentucky at an AU tournament trying to get our guy scholarship. And my friends are on vacation on the beach, the Bahamas and Cancun. And that's the decision I made. Yeah. And at the time I'm like, but you know what? That's the sacrifice that you had to get. And when I went there, you build relationships, you help your players get scholarships, whether in Canada or the US, you see guys develop, and then you meet different type of coaches, NCAA coaches, NBA coaches. So my networking got better and improved. But guys, that was a vacation for me. You know, you're a Montreal guy and you're coaching against USA teams. And how good is it, guys, when we get to beat American teams, right? How's that feeling, Seth and Kenny, right? Yeah. There's nothing better. So I stayed the course and I stayed with it.
Okay.
Is there maybe a game or maybe a favorite season for you, or maybe like a game against a US team that you guys won that you were like really like I say that like t'étais vraiment content, you were really happy to beat that team, or maybe a favorite season like for you when you were coaching at Champlain at the early I guess age?
Yeah, there's a lot of memories, and there's a lot of games that changed, Kenny, right? I remember we had a team, Champlain, and we went to Toronto to play in this tournament, and it was a North American Prep Invitational. And there was teams, prep schools from all over the States. There was a team from Toronto called Bathurst Heights. They had Denham Brown, who scored 100 points in the game. He went to UConn. And then they invited us there because we had some good players. So we had Eugene Ambrose, we had Bernard Cote, we had Ruben James Oberg, we had Tommy Archambault, and we played Bathurst Heights, 9:00 game in Toronto. The place was packed. And we went there and we beat them. And we beat a stacked Toronto team. And they were like, who are these guys? And we're like, we're Champlain. We're from Montreal. And then there was a slam dunk competition. And then there was a DJ and all that. And during the game, guess who was sitting courtside? Tracy McGrady. He was there for the Raptors when he played at the time. He was watching us, and he was like, all right, respect. And then the slam dunk contest, Tommy Archambault, 6'3", white guy from the South Shore, he wins the slam dunk contest. 360s, he was doing that. So they were like, who are these guys? So that was a moment where everybody said, okay. And then they started inviting us to all these tournaments in Canada and then in the US.
Wow.
So I think that was really one of the first moments that said, okay, you know what, we're legit. And then we beat some other American prep schools. One time we went to, the University of Kentucky. We got invited to the Adolph Rupp Classic, and we had Bernard Cote, who committed to Kentucky. But that year we had Pierre-Marie Cespedes. We had Mohamed Ashad, Negus McKenna. So we're at this tournament and it's packed, U.S. media. And they, right before the day of the tournament, they ask us, they go, hey, do you guys want to play Oak Hill Academy in a private scrimmage? The coach thinks you guys are a good team. So the head coach was Steve Smith, and they had a guy on that team, and his name was Carmelo Anthony. So Carmelo Anthony, we're playing Oak Hill Academy in a private scrimmage, and there's about 45 NBA scouts.
Oh.
And we start the game first quarter. We're up like 26-20. They're like, who are these guys? Negus had 2 alley-oops. Pierre had a drive, and he dunked on a guy on the baseline. And we had that swagger. And Carmelo Anthony was guarded by Ricardo Telemon, who played at Bishops. He held him to 4 points in the first half. And we're like, man, we're going to get the biggest upset. And then second half, your boy Carmelo goes for 32. He gets 36 points. We lost by like 18. But it was just the respect factor. Yeah. We're playing everybody, right? And that's where we wanted to change Quebec basketball. And I think, we played a small part of it. And I'm proud of what we accomplished.
Okay, you and JD, when you guys started, when JD became head coach and you became the top assistant, was it hard to recruit the best players? Because weren't the best players like, why should we come to Champlain? What have you done? Blah blah. So like, how was it to recruit? How did you guys recruit all these players that you had?
It was hard. It wasn't easy, man. Let me tell you, it wasn't easy. We had some good players from the South Shore. I mentioned Eric Zulu. He was a 3-time All-Star. He went to Concordia. He was the leading scorer in all of CIS when he played there. So he's a guy that paved the way for Champlain. Not a lot of people know him, but he was so good. And then there was a school, Centennial College, high school. Derek Armstrong, Greg Thompson, they were like university players. They came to us. And then we said, hey, you know what? We got to start going into the inner city.
Yeah.
I had to, I grew up with Haitians playing at the Roberval, and I knew Henry Bourassa Bousquet was a friend of mine. So we started the pipeline going into HB, and we got Mackenzie DeBrose, Hendy Brutus, Rick Telemon. And then we started getting Chad Caterson. Then ultimately, we got Eugene Ambrose, and he was so important because 6'5" point guard, he could do it all. And his brother Kinte was at Dawson. Everybody thought, Olga didn't even recruit him because she knew he was going.
Yeah.
But what we told Eugene and we told Chad Caterson, we told those guys, HB and guys from Dunton, we said, you guys can go to Dawson, you can go to Momo, and you can continue being, one of those guys that continues their good tradition. But how about you come to Champlain St. Lambert and you start a tradition that's never been done? You'll be the guys that did this, and we're going to do it different. We're going to develop you, and we're going to turn you into either an NCAA player or a Canadian university player or just a great person. So those conversations, although now seem easy, there was a lot of work. And JD and myself, the best coaches in the NCAA, Rick Pitino, Coach Krzyzewski, Roy Williams, they're the best recruiters, right? Mm-hmm. They're out there, they're working. So me and JD, and we love that part. We just were out there relentless, calling, seeing kids. I walked into Sun Youth, and Negus McKenna, who is arguably one of the best players or dunkers to ever come out of Quebec.
Yeah.
And I remember at practice, we used to run, fast break drills, and then it would be a 2-on-1 or 3-on-2, and they would give a bounce pass, and Negus, and I would stop the practice. Stop it. There's no more bounce passes to Negus McKenna. You're throwing the lob. You're throwing the lob, and he's going to get it. If you don't throw a lob, you're going to do suicide. And then Negus was looking at me. But when we recruited Negus at Sun Youth, he wouldn't even look us in the eye. He was shy. If you guys remember, Negus Deuce was that type of cat that, he was shy to himself. And then we spoke to his mom. And Champlain had a good academic reputation, still does. But it was like you were going away. You know what I mean? Like, Kenny, you understand that, right? You were taking a longer bus. You were going across the bridge. And at that time, it was different. And it felt like you were playing at a prep school. And that's what we tried to make it, right? And then when you went there and you put that jersey on. So the recruiting part wasn't that good. I'll tell you a story. Mohamed Ashad, 6'5", Moroccan kid. One of the best players to come out of Quebec. John calls me up one day. It's a Sunday morning. And he's like, Pete, there's a high school all-star game in Longueuil for a AA high school. Okay. I think we should go. And I'm like, John, we're stacked already. We got our stuff. I go, let's just show up. I said, you know what? All right, come pick me up. He goes, okay, I'll come pick you up. So we drive to Collège Français in Longueuil, and there's some good players, but there wasn't that heavily guys. Most of the guys played NBL or they played and they were already committed. So there's a tip, and the ball goes to this Moroccan kid, and he's 16 years old. He's skinny. He gets it. He attacks the rim, and he just cuffs it. Boom. We're like, okay. Next play down, a guy goes up for a layup. He swats it on the backboard. Me and JD stop. We turn around, and we try and locate who is a Moroccan parent out there. I'm serious. We're looking, okay? And then we're like, bonjour, madame. And JD's like, bonjour, madame, with his accent. He goes, is that your son? C'est votre fils? And oui, bonjour. C'est John, c'est Peter. And we didn't even watch the rest of the game, guys. We talked to his mom. And we said that your son, he had come from Morocco. He was in secondary 4, but he was a good student. She said that she should be already advanced. We got him in with your boy, Kenny, Jean-Louis, Steve White. We worked it out that the credits were there, and he came in a year early. So Mohammed comes in. We get like one of the best players ever. Wow. Why, Seth? Because it's that work ethic. We went to that gym. We went to recruit. There was no player we didn't know about. And listen, there were so many guys we wanted to recruit even more, but there's only 12 guys, right? So, but those were the stories, man. That's what I miss. I'm happily retired from coaching. It gave me a lot of gray hair, but recruiting those guys and building those bonds, that's the best part of the game.
Forever, yeah.
And how was that experience at UMass? Because I know you the first or one of the first from Montreal, Quebec to, I guess, coach an NCAA. So how was that experience?
Yeah, it was a dream come true, Kenny. It was a dream come true. A Montreal kid, growing up here, playing hockey, playing and soccer, and then getting into basketball, to be able to, become an NCAA coach. And I believe I was the first Quebec coach to ever coach men at the Division I level. And I went to UMass, and, Marcus Camby and Dr. J. I walked into the arena. There's 10,000 people, the offices. And it was something that I worked in terms of the relationships. I got to know Steve Lapis, and Steve was coming here to recruit some guys from Montreal and some of our guys at Champlain. And then, when the practice was over, I took him out to a Greek restaurant, and I knew everything about his career. I knew that when he took over at Villanova, he had Kerry Kittles. Kerry Kittles didn't want to stay. He left to New Orleans. Lapis had to take a flight, go see his mom, and convince him to stay at Villanova. And I'm telling him all this, and he's like, how do you know all this? I go, I'm a basketball junkie. I just love everything. I'm a student of the game. And we had a great relationship, a good meal. And then the year was 2003. And, John spoke to you guys about how hard it was to win a Cégep championship, right?
Yeah.
It wasn't easy. There were so many good teams, Dawson and Momo. I mean, they were super stacked. Vanier was really good too at that time. John Abbott had good teams too. So that year, was our team. We had Pierre-Marie, we had Maurice, we had Max, we had Negus, we had Olivier, Junior, Bruno, Philip Letourneau, Max Bujo, Camby, Division I guys didn't even play that year. Brad Ryan, Brian Finn, that was the year. And it was all the work to get there. And that season, we ended up going 15-1, and we won the championship. We beat Vanier. Sorry about that, Seth, but Vanier got us back the next year. But we were at the Hagen, and the Hagen at that time was the best tournament, right? Because you had Humber, Sheridan, Algonquin, plus the top 4 teams in Quebec, and 5 games in 3 days. And we had some injuries to Negus and Maurice, and Vanier beat us in the final. And I got a call the next morning, and John says, hey, Steve Lapis called. He wants you to call him. I'm like, what does he need? And Steve Lapis, Coach Lap, called me. He says, hey, Pete, what's going on? And I'm like, not much, coach. And he's like, listen, one of my assistant coaches just got a head job, Division II. I need an assistant, and I want to hire you. And I was like, wow, you serious, coach? And he's like, yeah, I'm damn serious. You need that New York accent. And he's like, I said, when do you need a decision? He goes, I need it within 5 days, because we start the preseason NIT in 10 days.
Wow.
So, and then I'm like, we had the team that could win it all. I was established here in Montreal. But then I just said, you know what? I called Veli Janvier, I called Craig Norman, talked to JD, talked to my parents, and I said, you know what? I'm just going to put everything on pause. I packed my bags, closed my bank account, opened one up there, and then I went, man. It was like I got a scholarship set. and to me, it was a responsibility now, because I was the first Quebec coach from Montreal, from Quebec, to coach in the NCAA. And I get there, and we play the preseason NIT tournament. We beat St. Francis of New York in the first round. And then the next day, I'm on a flight to Lubbock, Texas, and I'm going to Texas Tech, and I'm coaching against Bobby Knight, the great Bobby Knight. And we played their ESPN game. I'm wearing my nice suit. And then the game is on ESPN. I'm telling everybody, all right, tape this game, Mom, tape it, because I'm going to shake Bobby Knight's hand. I want you to tape that, take a picture of it. So I'm all ready. They beat us by 20. They had a really good team. I think they went to the Sweet 16. The game ends. I'm getting in line. I got my nice suit, guys. And I go. Steve Lapis shakes Bobby Knight's hand. Bobby Knight shakes his hand. Bobby Knight turns around, takes off. Bobby Knight never shakes anybody else's hand but the head coach. So I got stuck. Thanks a lot, Coach Knight. But I had a great experience. We played against UConn with Jim Calhoun. That was the year UConn won a national championship. I got to coach against John Chaney at Temple. He's 700 wins, Hall of Famer. That year in our conference, the St. Joseph's was number 1 in the country. They had Jameer Nelson and Delonte West. So it was just like, you're in the big time, right? It was something that, I'll always treasure, to be able to do that. And then, some other guys got an opportunity. Maurice Joseph, became, an assistant, and then the head coach at George Washington, Jeff Dosado, got to coach Division I. And there's going to be more guys now. They're going to go. It's not only we have great players in Quebec, guys, we have great coaches as well. That was my experience at UMass.
Okay.
How was it? Okay, go.
Go.
Okay. How was it coaching Marcus Camby?
Well, I didn't get a chance to coach him. He was a little bit before. Yeah. They made the Final Four. The banners are up there at the Mullen Center. Dr. J came one day to visit. John Calipari came to visit too. Marcus Camby is just, UMass is a big time school in the Atlantic 10, but they're not in the Big East. They're not in the ACC, but Marcus Camby and Calipari changed the way people, respected and looked at UMass. A little bit like Champlain, right? Like, a smaller school that became really good.
Yeah.
But, you're going there, and it's like that in the NCAA. It's a lot in Canada as well, right? But in the NCAA, the alumni are so passionate. Like I'm walking there and there's grandparents that have been UMass fans and went to school there for 40 years and they're inviting me over to dinner. They want my autograph. Like I'm like the fourth assistant coach there. Why you want my autograph? But it's just, they're just so passionate. And I was the Canadian guy. They would make fun of me about, hey, you're just a hockey guy. And I think the USA kind of beat Canada or tried to beat them in hockey. But it was just incredible to be able to get there and to be a Montreal kid to coach in the NCAA. I mean, it's unbelievable, the players and the talent that we've taken away. But now coaching wise too, I hope and I wish I see more coaches from Quebec and Canada coaching the NCAA level.
What's the difference between coaching the Cégep level and the UMass? Like the players, I'm pretty sure when you went there, you're just like, whoa. Like, so is there a big difference or?
Well, my first day on the job, Steve Lapis calls me into his office and he says, sit down, Pete. And he's like, there's a few things that you got to get done. And, he always loved telling stories. He would tell me all the stories. He won a national championship with Villanova. He coached there for 10 years. And he says, the one thing I'll teach you that you have to know to be successful in this level. And it's GID. And I'm like, GID? I go, what's that, coach? He says, GID, get it done. So no matter what you do, no matter what I ask, you got to get it done. If I need a tape of a game that happened 3 years ago that we're playing UConn and they played Hofstra, you got to get that tape, whatever you got to do. If you got to get a manager and drive down 4 hours to New Jersey, get that tape and bring it back so it's in my office the next morning for film, you're going to do it. And I had to do that. So that's the biggest. And, all NCAA teams are a little bit different, but one thing is that the assistants, they all have, players that they take under their wing.
Okay.
So there's like about 6 coaches at the high level D1 school. So I had 2 players that were like my sons, right? So, I took care of them, everything. So you build that trust. And the one kid that I had was a freshman. His name was Stefan Lazmi. He was from Gabon, Africa, 6'8", super athletic. And he spoke French. So, there was that connection and, the grind of being a freshman in college. You guys were, right? It's tough, like you got to balance school, your living, what you're going to do. And ultimately he made the NBA. He played for the Miami Heat for a couple of years. So, and he still thanks me for that first year that I took him under my wing. So the details, the hard work, there was also, Pete, you got to go around making sure the guys are in classes. So my 2 hours during the day, I'm going around each class to make sure the guys are in class. And part of me was like, I came from Champlain and Kenny could attest. Kenny had some, he was a great player. He had some, issues going to class that he rectified afterwards. Yeah. But we did it the same way. Like, we made sure guys went to class. But there, it's a job. That's your role. You're getting paid. I was getting a salary, not the greatest salary when you first start off, but still a salary, and you got to perform. And one of my mentors, he was an assistant coach on our team. His name was Andrew Theokis. He told me this, and I'll always remember this. We were playing UConn at the Hartford Civic Center. There was 20,000 people, and it's the warm-ups. And he grabs me, and he says, Pete, look at the front row here. And I'm like, okay. He says, you see all these guys? Those are doctors, lawyers, bankers. Right? Those guys, politicians, they're paying to watch me and you work tonight. There's 30 days out of the year. We have the best job in the world. They pay to watch us coach. He says the other 335 days, they ain't shit. He says, because we got to do all the little things that people don't know. Make sure they go to class. Shooting guard didn't renew his license. You got to get him, drive him there. So it's all those little things. But, going to the restaurants, making sure the flights are good.
Yeah.
But the one thing that I loved is that Steve Lapis, he came from the Rolly Massimino tree. Rolly Massimino won a Villanova championship in 1985. They beat Patrick Ewing. And then Lapis took over Villanova for 10 years. He loved telling stories and he loved hanging out with his coaches. So after every game, we'd go to, Steve Lapis's house. He'd order some pizza, subs, and then we'd just talk. So I was like, yeah, let's go. Let's do it. The assistant coaches look at me. They're like, yeah, wait about 6 months. After a game, you're going to want to go home. You're going to see your girl. You're going to do anything. You don't want to go hang out with the coach again. We've been hanging out 12 hours the whole day. But as a Canadian kid, I was like, man, I'm soaking this in. I used to drive him around to clinics. He would tell me stories. So it was a dream come true. But the biggest difference is that it's a full-time job at the NCAA level, and you're paid to win. And if you don't win, the heat's on, man. The heat's on if you don't win.
Comment ton bagage NCAA, comme tu l'as bien expliqué, t'a aidé quand tu es revenu au Québec? Comment ça t'a aidé?
Ouais, c'est une bonne question, Kenny. Écoute, quand je suis revenu, j'étais toujours un coach. Tu sais, c'était un joueur, mais j'ai coaché 10 ans à Champlain. J'étais à UMass pendant 2 ans presque. Puis là, tu sais, c'est comme, Craig Norman était à McGill. Là, il dit, viens coacher avec moi. Je voulais prendre un petit break parce que, tu sais, c'est depuis 19 ans à 32 ans, c'est non-stop. C'était ma carrière, je faisais ça. Puis là, je voulais regarder un peu d'autres choses, d'autres opportunités. Puis je voulais toujours être dans la game. Tu sais, je voulais pas être un adjoint, comme j'ai mentionné tantôt, puis être à temps partiel. Je peux pas faire ça. Moi, je dois être là à chaque pratique, chaque game, parce que je dois être là pour mes joueurs. Mais je suis devenu un peu comme consultant. J'ai continué à aider JD. Tu sais, puis même quand j'étais à UMass, je me souviens, la finale contre Vanier, on était à Richmond. On jouait contre Richmond dans un conference game. Puis j'appelais avant le match, good luck, guys. Puis là, il me donnait des updates. C'est comment? C'est 36-31. Oh, Pierre, il a côté contre Buckley. OK. And then, puis je voulais pas mon head coach me regarde parce qu'on a un gros match. Mais mes adjoints, ils connaissaient ça que j'étais tellement un gars de Champlain. Fait que là, quand je suis revenu, j'ai continué à aider JD, Steve White and the Boys. J'étais pas comme officiel là, mais j'étais toujours, tu sais, j'étais un ambassadeur du programme. J'étais toujours là. Fait que j'ai aidé les gars un peu sur le côté stratégie parce que j'ai appris beaucoup de choses. Tu sais, quand tu es dans l'NCAA, tu sais, je faisais les scouting reports. Puis, tu sais, vous connaissez ça, les scouting reports. Là, c'est devenu « it got to another level ». Mais dans le temps, c'était comme 15-20 pages, puis on faisait le prep. Fait que j'aidais Craig Norman, puis j'aidais d'autres coachs canadiens qui m'appelaient, qui voulaient savoir, tu sais, c'était comment la stratégie, c'était comment votre offense, votre defense. Puis là, j'ai commencé à travailler un peu dans la radio. TSN 690, dans le temps, c'était Team 990. Il connaissait, j'étais un coach à UMass. Puis il dit, hey, tu veux parler un peu de NBA, un peu de basket? Puis j'ai dit, yeah, sure, why not? Puis quand j'ai fait de la radio au début, puis ça, c'est il y a 16 ans. Ça, c'était en 2005. Parce que 15 ans, almost 16. Tu sais, je savais pas. Tu sais, I didn't go to school for that, but I just talked about the game that I love, that I know. Puis là, j'ai développé mon craft. I developed that craft in terms of being a good analyst. Being a radio guy that covers the NBA. Puis c'était la même chose, guys. C'était comme watch tape, watch games, talk to coaches, talk to agents, Puis mon network got bigger and bigger. And then I started, becoming like a little bit of an insider. And then I liked it. Less pressure than coaching. But then my next dream was, hey, can I get somehow closer to the NBA, right? And after all these years, I stayed close to a lot of people. I was always a Champlain guy. But I really believed, and I'm so proud, and I bleed Champlain, but I'm so proud of Quebec basketball. And I think that sometimes we're underappreciated, undervalued, underestimated. And I make sure that people know how good Quebec basketball is and how good the players are, the coaches, the development, the AU guys. So I'm always pumping Quebec basketball. And, I'm so happy that there's so many guys that have gone to the next level, not only NBA, college, CIS. You guys, what you guys did, Canadian University, if you don't have a Quebec guy on your team, you're probably not going to win, right? There's so much good talent here. So I'm proud to be that Quebec ambassador in conjunction with what, my career has become now as an analyst, TV analyst, for RDS. And, I do 5 radio shows a week. It's fun, man. It's fun. I'm blessed.
Where do you see Quebec basketball in 5-10 years? Because every year keep growing. So where do you see Quebec in maybe 5-10 years?
I think it's just going to keep on elevating, Kenny. I think that the best thing about Quebec basketball, but in basketball in general in this era, is that all the coaches right now a lot of them are former players, right? So guys who played the game, who were coached really by good coaches, are now becoming coaches themselves. So I think that's how the game grows. Guys that want to give back, you give back by coaching. And it's not only at the university level, it's at the Cégep level, it's at the high school level. Oh my God, the high school coaches, they're amazing. Guys don't get paid that much, and you have to make a sacrifice too, right? Things are good for me now. The salary is nice when you're calling games on TV and working, but I had to struggle and grind, guys. I wasn't getting paid when I was at Champlain, at UMass. I wasn't making the millions like the head coach was. I had to save some money and save and trying to get food, and it's the struggle everywhere. But I think right now there's so many great players that you guys are interviewing and having on your show, and who are coaches now, and they're giving back to the game, and those guys are able to teach the younger kids work ethic, how to play, and guys try their best. And every coach has a different style. It's not everybody's going to be the same style. Some are more cerebral, some are more calm. They're going to explain, development. Some are more passionate. Some are like old school, you get out there and press and defend. And so if you mix that around, and I think, the Quebec Federation is trying to do good work, and they are doing good work. Daniel Grimard, Alejandro Hasbani, George Germanos, they're working in conjunction with the AU teams to get those guys to play on the Quebec team. Before they couldn't, because they only wanted to play AU, or you could only play Quebec team, or you couldn't. But now they're working together, with Nelson and the Joeys, and the Berkeys. We have to come together. It's not completely there because it's always competitive. Yeah. But I'm trying to bring everybody together where we could work together and then say, hey, you know what? Remember what I said earlier? When we beat Denham Brown in Bathurst Heights in front of T-Mac in Toronto, that was pride for Champlain, but for Montreal, for Quebec. And I still want us to beat those guys. And, Toronto's tough. It's a bigger population. They got the Raptors. But look what we're doing, right? We've won so many gold medals with the Quebec team. Pascal Jobin did great work. So many coaches, Nathan Grant, Dan Martin, Trevor Williams, Ricky Volsi. There's so many good, coaches that are giving their time, all former players, right? So if you get those former players to give back, you're going to teach our kids, and they'll be even better moving forward.
Okay. How do you feel when people call you the Woj of Quebec? because if I want to find out something, I just go on your Twitter, on your Facebook, and then okay, Chris Boucher is not gonna play today. Lou Gans is gonna be absent for like 2 weeks. Okay, I just have to go at your Twitter or Facebook. So how do you?
Thanks, Kenny.
And how did you build those connections?
Yeah.
Well, I got a long way to go to be Woj from the States, from ESPN, but a lot of my journey, like I spoke to you guys earlier, was I watched tape, I watched the games, I watched what the USA did, and I try to implement that here. And it's the same thing here. Why can't we do it, right? It's not only Americans can do that. We got the talent to do that. And for me, it's very simple. I started playing grassroots ball. I played high school basketball. I played in the park, and I went to Cégep, and I build relationships. I built relationships with people. Kenny, when you were going to Champlain, how many talks did I have with you about committing to Champlain?
Yeah, a bunch.
Right?
Yeah.
A bunch. And what did I always tell you? And I promised you. I said, Kenny, when you come to Champlain, it's not for 3 years. It's a brotherhood for life. And now when you ask me to come on your show, what did I say? I'm coming on. Because that's the commitment I made to you, bro. That's what I did. And this is what it is. If for anybody that wants to get into, this industry, you have to have relentless work ethic. You have to be the hardest worker out there. I work hard. My phone is on. I'm texting. Sometimes my wife is not too happy about that, but it's my role, it's my job. I'm texting players now that are playing in the NCAA, and I'm wishing them good luck. After the game, I text Lugens every time. I talk to him and say, hey, you don't need to hook on that drive that you did last night against Barrett. Just go and attack. It's the small things that I help guys. And, you talk to coaches and you meet people, and then they trust you. But you have to be a good person.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not the best person out there. I had that swag, that cockiness, and as a player, and to me, because I didn't have the greatest athletic abilities, right, I had to have an edge. So I had that confidence and that swag, but you got to, combine that with humility. But to me, it's like having good relationships. And if you have that, people will give you information. And when they give you information, there's some stuff that you could share, but there's some stuff that you cannot.
Mm-hmm.
There's some stuff that I would love to share, but if I do that, I will break that trust.
Yeah.
And that's why I asked, are you cool with that? Yes. If not, and that's why, you get that information. That's why Woj is so good, is because he's built that trust with so many key people. I talk to agents, I talk to NBA people, I talk to players, I talk to AU players, I talk to just, people that have their little brother, their little cousin, and I'm trying to help them. So that's how it went, guys. That's what it is. It's about, giving back. I do a lot of stuff, radio shows, I do appearances. I don't ask for money. I will never go to a camp and say, hey, pay me to talk to kids. I'm here today. Peter Yannopoulos, oui, papa, is here right now because of the game. So I got to stay true to it, and that's what I try to do.
Yeah.
Okay. And I also know that you reffed. Can you talk a little bit about reffing? And also, I know you part of the NCAA tour, like when the NCAA team comes to, I guess, Quebec. I know you were a big part of that. So can you talk about the referee?
Yeah.
Also,
I end up turning to the dark side, right? I became an official. Some guys said that, but what happened was, when I came back, when I stopped coaching and I came back from UMass, I took a little break, and I was, working as a consultant in basketball, and then doing some radio and a little bit of TV, but I started playing again. I was in my mid 30s, early 30s, and I got that love again. And I just started playing, and I played in 4 or 5 leagues, and I got in great shape again. And, there's nothing better, guys, than playing.
Yeah.
I mean, I love being on TV, and I loved talking here, but, getting in a gym and competing, nothing beats it. So I loved playing so much, and it was so good. And then one day, it was a Kinkler's League. It was the semifinal, going up, fast break, jump stop. I went up, boom, tore my ACL.
Damn.
I never had a knee injury in my life, ever. And then I did a jump stop, and my ACL, MCL, it tore completely. So then I fractured my tibia plateau. So I had 2 knee injuries back to back. So then I was like, man, what am I going to do? Oh, I got to go to Nautilus Plus and be a regular guy and go to the gym. I hated that. I like playing ball. That's the best shape to do, right, fellas? But so what did I do is that I started reffing, and I started reffing a little bit in Kinkler's League, and then a couple of leagues. And then, same thing, guys, student of the game. I was a player, I was a coach, I watched, and now I'm watching games, and I'm watching reps. I'm watching their positioning. And being a ref, it's not easy. Right? It's tough because things happen quick. It's the only really league where the players are allowed to trash talk or give a hard time to the refs, right? You're allowed complaining.
Yeah.
The other leagues, you could say something, but the one thing about reffing is about feel for the game. If you have that feel, and I watched so many games in my life where the 5'7" guard would drive and jump into a 6'10" guy, and the guy's just standing straight, and the ref calls a foul. Like the guy's like, he's initiating the contact. That's not a block. It's and those little things resonated with me, and I tried to just let the players play. Okay. And if you let players play, especially at first, I was reffing in men's leagues, right? And then you're doing tournaments, and I started I didn't start going to the top, but then I had the respect of the players because they know me. And they know my background. So if I'm making a call, they're like, this guy knows the game, but still they would get upset a little bit. But I would always let the guys vent, and then I would explain, hey, here's what you did here. And then you make a mistake, you say, hey, my bad on this one. But the less fouls that you call, and you let the guys play, and they don't foul out, and they don't have foul trouble, I think that was a good part. And then JD and me, about 10 years ago, 11 years ago, we decided to we formed a company and we started bringing NCAA teams to Montreal. Same thing, right? American teams were doing this, having foreign tours in Hawaii or in the States or in Europe. Why don't we do it here in Montreal? Great city, beautiful, historic, good competition. So we started hosting those tours, which were great. At first, I was working them with JD. I was, with the teams. And again, relationship with coaches, with teams. And for me, it was fun because I was able to be a part of an NCAA team or any basketball team for a week. So you're on the bus, you're watching film, you're ordering them food after the game, you're eating. And now you have big time basketball players coming here against Canadian university teams or Quebec teams. The referees get to ref NCAA. The players get to play against NCAA. The fans get to watch it. So it was something where, hey, let's bring this level here and everybody could win. And then after that, I got a little bit busier and I couldn't be with the teams at all time because of work commitments that I had. And then when I started reffing, I had a little crew of guys that we would ref, and then we started reffing these NCAA games. So I'm reffing against Indiana, and Tom Crean. I'm reffing against, Texas Tech and Syracuse, some of the games. So would I like to continue reffing and make it a career? Yes, I just don't have the time with everything that I'm doing. But to me, even just getting into a gym and reffing a men's league game and just seeing those guys, I love watching good players, right? But reffing at the NCAA level here, the tours, it was incredible. And the best part of it was the U.S. coaches and the media that followed them coming up to me after and saying, you know what, you could ref in the Big Ten. Your crew is better than some of the crews that we have there. And it was me, Dwight Walton, Roger McDonald, Etzer Dorillian, Robert Gibbs. Like those were my five guys. There was a couple other guys too, but we ref those games. So myself, Dwight, and Roger, experienced guys, let the players play. And it's a nice compliment to get. But hey, it's all about being versatile, man. I just try to do everything with this game, guys. I try to do everything as I can.
You did everything.
I'm lucky, man. I'm lucky.
Could you talk a little bit about your relationship with JD? Because I know you guys are super close, and for sure when we've interviewed Negus, Maurice, and other players, you guys always comes up JD. If it wasn't for JD and Peter. So we just want to know your relationship and how it started and why you guys are so, I guess, known as this duo.
Yeah, you know what? It's JD. He means so much to me. I have one sister that I love to death, but John D'Angelis to me is my brother. He really is. And we met when I became an assistant at Champlain. But I don't know if I told you this story, Kenny, but I'll share it with everybody because this is a classic. So it's my last year at Champlain, 1995, and I'm the captain, and we got a decent team, but we lost some guys to academics that year, and a little bit tough. So it's January, and you know how January is, hey guys, the season is like the first game starts the 24th because you're off, so now you're practicing. It's tough, it's cold. So Norman's writing us hard, and he says one day, hey guys, I have a guest coach here for you guys today. So a guest coach will watch our practice and he'll just evaluate. So he goes, I want to introduce you guys to John D'Angelis. I never met this guy before. I never knew who John D'Angelis was. So I'm like, okay, cool. So we're doing a drill. We're going up and Craig's upset. And he's like, guys, he whistles. He's like, we're not giving the right effort today. 10 push-ups. So we get down. We're doing 10 push-ups. So we're going 10, 10, 10. I finish. I get up. All of a sudden, this guy that I never knew before, John D'Angelis, he goes, Craig, this guy did 8.5. He only did 8.5 push-ups. So Craig Norman says, what? Put the balls away. Put the balls away. You're running the rest of practice. So we had to run for an hour and 10 minutes because this guy, this guest coach, I don't know who he is, John D'Angelis ratted out a kid doing 8.5 push-ups instead of doing the 10. So I'm like, are you serious? I was so pissed. But then, we became assistant coaches together. This is a true story, man. I still bug JD about that today. I go, thanks a lot, bro. And then we coached together. And then JD was always that big brother to me. I was in school. he would come pick me up and drive me to practice, and then we would just talk. And then when he took the job and he elevated me to his, associate head coach, JD just so selfless, passionate guy, energy. I think we're very similar. I think you guys could tell. We just love the game. But JD, pushed players, but he pushed his coaches too, and he always tried to develop us. And I'll tell you a story. When one year John got asked to be the head coach at the Kentucky Derby Classic All-Star game, All-American game in Louisville, Kentucky. So he was the head coach. Bernard Cote was selected to play in this game. And there was, a couple of NBA guys, 24 players. So the whole week, Louisville, Kentucky, it's an All-American game. It was just the notch below the McDonald's All-American game and the Jordan game. So JD got invited to be the head coach with another coach from Kentucky. So what does he do? He says, you know what, Pete, you're coming with me and Steve White. He says, you guys are coming with me. You're going to stay in my room. I got some points. I'll get your flight paid. The guy took care of us. You know what I mean? Took care of me. So it's those little things that JD did. And then that bond together, right? Just coaching, trying to recruit. And, we won a lot of games. We recruited good players. But we lost some games too, right? It wasn't always easy. We lost, some close, tough games. We tried to get better as coaches. We argued a lot. John didn't want to play zone, right? John only wanted to play man-to-man. He says development. I'm like, are you out of your mind? Everybody's playing zone. Like we got 6'9", 6'9", 6'8" at the front line. You want to guard Dawson, 6'2" guards, 6'2" power forwards? How can you do that? He's like, no, Pete, we're going to develop. And I was pissed because I wanted to win. Yeah. But then eventually, he kind of changed. And, we became business partners. We worked together off the court. So basically it was the whole day together, coaching, working together, weekends, phones at my house, at his house. And he's a special, special human being. He's gone through a little bit of hard times, but I still think, I call him the GOAT. There's so many GOATs. There's so many great coaches out there. But to me, what John was able to do, he's just amazing. And he's a brother to me. Just a very, very special bond that we have together. I mean, we talk every day, and that's the beauty, right? And, I got offered, and not all people know this, but before I went to UMass, I got offered to coach the Edouard Montpetit team. They had the coach had left, and I met the AD. I went for the interview, and they gave me the job. They say, it's yours. And then I'm like, okay, do I take it? I wanted to, because I wanted to go my own way and be my head coach. But at the time, part of coaching at Champlain, it's the brotherhood. It's the brotherhood that were the players, and the brotherhood with John and Steve White and Rami, Rick Jr. and Akram. Like I didn't want to lose that. And, things happen for a reason, but JD is just an incredible, incredible guy.
Yeah, help a lot. Do you think one day we're going to have an NBA team in Montreal?
100%.
Yeah?
It's going to happen, guys. I'm telling you. Listen, it's not going to be easy, okay? It's not going to be easy. It's tough, right? There's so many. One, the NBA has to want expansion. At first, they didn't really think that was going to happen in the near future. But then, a couple of weeks ago with the pandemic, they're like, hey, if we get 2 new teams in, that expansion fee that they're going to pay is going to bring a lot of revenue to the current 30 teams that are there. So Adam Silver hinted that. And then the next day I was part of NBA global media conference call for all media across the world. So I was fortunate to be invited on that. Wow. And the deputy commissioner and chief operating officer, Mark Tatum, he was delivering the press conference as the speaker. And I asked him a question. I said, with all the impeding talk about potential expansion, what do you think are the chances of Montreal getting a franchise? Is it a viable city for the NBA to consider? And Mark said, Montreal is a fantastic basketball city. So for him to say that is significant. And Mark was here a couple of years ago when the Raptors played, I think, their last game. I think they played against Brooklyn. He said, and I spoke to him, he said, Peter, you have a state-of-the-art facility at the Bell Center. You have a passionate fan base. There's 20,000 people every time you guys have a preseason game here. You're one of the biggest cities and markets in North America. right? Montreal is, I think, the sixth largest city. The game is growing. There's grassroots. There's corporate sponsorship. You have, the surrounding areas of Ottawa, Quebec, upstate New York, Vermont. Montreal, guys, I tell people this. We're not 1990 anymore. Montreal is a big-time city. Yeah. Montreal hosted the Olympics in 1976, the Summer Olympics, not the winter, the summer. We have, the Canadians, we had the Expos, we had like big business. This is a passionate market. Why can't, if Toronto could have a team, why can't Montreal? Yeah. And I think that, the game keeps on growing. Right now, expansion looks like it might happen sooner rather than later. I would hope it potentially goes to 4 teams or 4 cities. Mm-hmm. I think that, Seattle deserves their team back that they lost. Supersonics, what's up, G-Pay and Sean Kemp, right? Then I think Las Vegas is a city right now that's gravitating towards professional sports. They have an arena that could be good. And then I think Montreal, Mexico would be 2 other cities that would make sense in terms of going international a little bit. I think that's what the NBA wants. So is it my dream, guys? I mean, a lot of my dreams came true, right? Already. I coached in the States. I'm covering NBA. But to have an NBA team here, guys, come on, man. That would be spectacular.
Okay. And is that the last question?
Yeah.
So who you think is going to win this year? And what LeBron has to do to become the GOAT in your eyes?
Kenny Jean-Louis with the tough question at the end, man. I think this year is wide open. A little bit like last year was. There was the first year where, Kevin Durant left Golden State and there was no clear-cut favorite. So the Lakers ended up winning, but I think the Clippers had the team last year. I think in the East, Milwaukee, the pandemic kind of, hurt their chances. I think this year is kind of similar. There's a lot of games. Guys are missing games because of, COVID protocols. We saw the unfortunate and disastrous situation at the Capitol again. That's insane. Hopefully that president is out on the 20th and we'll never hear from him again. I don't want to get into politics, but it's time to move on, right? Because this guy, it hurts the players, this is real life stuff. It's time to set the world right, but I think it's wide open. I'm a big Giannis guy, right? The Greek freak. Do they have enough to get to overcome? Giannis, I don't think it's a question of do they have enough. I think Giannis has to step up. And Giannis is my guy, but he's got to step up in the 4th. If he wants to be considered, like LeBron and KD and the greats. So I think if Brooklyn's healthy, they could really do some damage. I think the Celtics, they had their shot last year. They should have beat Miami and got to the finals. It's tough, guys. You see it, right? The window. The Clippers, man, up 3-1 to Denver. You had the team last year. I think Lakers will be tough to go back to back. I still think if I had to pick, I think the Clippers, they'll figure it out. They'll get in the West. I think, Milwaukee or Brooklyn, man, Brooklyn looks good if everybody's playing, together, right? So it could be Brooklyn Lakers. It could be Milwaukee Clippers. I think it's one of those 4 teams will probably win the championship. And to answer your question, Kenny, number 1, I love LeBron James. Okay. What's not to love? He's one of the greatest to ever do it. He's, I just didn't like the fact that he left Cleveland to join his competitors, to join that big 3 with Miami. I'm a competitive guy. You guys heard my story a little bit today. I'm old school, right? Like joining guys like Magic, Bird, Jordan. Jordan lost to all these guys. And then ultimately he beat them all. Right. He took the lumps. And then he said, and man, they won 6 titles. He retired, for 2 years. And then again in 99, they should have Jordan could have won 9 in a row. He won 6. To me, it's all about championships, guys. It's all about winning. Basketball is the only sport where the superstar player, not the role player or average guy, the superstar player impacts the game both offensively and defensively. And they play the whole game. They'll play 45, 46 minutes, and they'll play offense, they'll play defense. Baseball, you only swing the bat 4 times. Hockey, there's 4 lines. Football, you're a quarterback. You're only playing half the game. If your defense is not good, it's tough. Basketball, like you could impact the game both ways. So I think LeBron, the longevity is incredible. The durability, to me, the most durable player of all time was Kobe. Kobe, for 16, 17 years, had broken bones, fingers, ligaments. He never missed a game. He would drop 40, 50. But then the Achilles got to him.
Yeah.
LeBron, that one, hamstring a couple of years ago, the guy's so durable. But he's got to win the championships. He's got to, Kareem has 6. Jordan's at 6. Magic's got 5. Kobe's got 5. Duncan's got 5. I'm talking superstar players, not role guys. Don't tell me Robert Horry or Bruce Bowen, right? Those guys are great. I'm talking superstars. Bill Russell, I think that era was different. There wasn't that many teams. Yeah. But right now he's got 4, out of 10. I still think nobody will ever touch Jordan because nobody ate when Jordan played, man. It was like they feared him, right? Guys, you saw it in all those great teams. LeBron, a little bit different. He's a different player. I think he's more like Magic Johnson was. Magic Johnson won 5 titles in 9 years, guys. He went to the finals 9 years in his first 10. Then he got HIV and he had to retire. Magic could have won like 7, 8 titles. I think LeBron likes to distribute, facilitate, but he's got a chance. 1, because he takes care of his body. And 2, going to LA, they could pay that luxury tax and they could afford to have that extra, sign some extra guys. Look, nobody's going to touch Jordan. Yeah. But if LeBron gets the 6, 7 championships, he's got 4. Then it's like, because the records are there. And I think LeBron, he micromanages the game so much, like his offense, he's the point guard. Yeah. He's the one who's going to get those assists. He gets the rebounds. The stats are just incredible. And credit to him. And the one other thing, Kenny and Seth, LeBron does it the right way.
Yeah.
No problems off the court. Family man, ambassador. Yeah. Just a tremendous human being. Yeah. It's great discussions to have. I just think Jordan, what he did, the way he won, it was like he's a killer, man.
Yeah.
But LeBron is getting close, man.
Definitely, yeah. Okay, so can we play the game?
Okay, just a quick game before we leave. So I guess I'm going to try to ask the same question that I asked JD.
Maybe you'll give an answer. Yeah.
Can you tell me the 5 best players that you coach from point guard to center?
Well, listen, JD said no, he loves all his guys. I love all the guys too, right? And I mentioned a lot of them, right? But, there were some guys that were just special. But everybody was a little bit different, when I came back from UMass, I wasn't on the bench at Champlain, but I was still with the team. I was still with you, Kenny, and Nolan and Alex Paquin, and, you guys, you won a championship, and then it kept going. And now I still talk to recruits, to go to Champlain. Dan says, can you talk to this kid? I said, of course. But we had some really special guys. I mentioned that Eric Zulu, what he did for the program, he was just great. I think that Eugene Ambrose is definitely part of that top 5. 6'5" point guard, was our second guy to get a scholarship. The guy wouldn't shake hands before the game with guys. Guys feared him. He would dunk on guys. He was probably, when he wanted to, was the best defender I've ever seen. It was just a consistency. I think today he would have gone to a high major school. He's definitely up there. I mean, Mohamed Ashad, he only played 2 years for us. People don't understand that. Remember my story? He was 16. Yeah. He came in at 17, 18. And then his father comes up to us one day and he says, hey, Peter, John, get my son a scholarship. I have to bring the family back to Morocco. We're moving. Oh. He was going to stay a third year. And that third year would have been Mohamed Ashad, Pierre-Marie Cespedes, and Maurice Joseph in the backcourt.
Yeah.
Like we're not losing a game, or maybe one, but Mohamed, what he was able to do is, at 6'5", another 6'5" point guard, dunk. He threw the ball off the backboard and dunked it in the game. Like, these are stuff that not too many guys do what Mohamed was doing here. I think Pierre-Marie Altidore Cespedes is definitely one of the top, guards, players that we had all time. Went to Gonzaga. He was my little brother. I took him everywhere. We went to the ABCD camp, and I remember going up to the coach directly because he liked Gonzaga. He liked their style. And I went to their assistant coach, and I said, Coach, my players, Pierre-Marie, take a look at him. He likes you guys. Okay, they watch him play. He dominates. Mark Few, let's get him for a visit. And then we took from New Jersey, we took a bus and train 19 hours to get to Louisville to play in that tournament.
Jeez.
It's crazy, but it was all love. I was fortunate to be there, right? Mm-hmm. Maurice Joseph, player of the year in Canada. Heart of a lion, score, swag, confidence. Bernard Cote, the guy got recruited by 300 schools. 6'9", like there was letters, there was school, like coaches, just a great player, great person. Negus McKenna is up there.
So many.
Throw the ball up. And then, what he did at the NCAA level, there's so many guys, Adam Shibalewski, Randy DeZuve, Kenny Jean-Louis, Mackenzie DeBrol, Sandy Brutus, Nico Cochran. There's so many guys, but if, I'm not afraid to say there's certain guys that were just at a next level. The first, 5-6 guys that I mentioned, just really good.
Yeah. For my game, I'm going to give you 3 scenarios. You got to start one, bench one, and cut one. All right. Okay. So the first one is being coached by Craig Norman and your high school coach. So being coached by 2, like you said, probably 2 of the best coaches, not only Quebec, but in Canada. That's the first scenario. The second one is being able to coach, being the first Quebec coach to go to UMass, to coach the NCAA at UMass. And the third one is being an NBA analyst at RDS.
So I got a start, cut, and bench one.
Yeah.
Look, I'm gonna start those 2 coaches, man. Billy Janvier and Craig Norman. They're my guys. I tell them every single time. I want people to know this. There's no Peter Yannopoulos. There's no Wee Papa. I'm not standing talk to you if it wasn't for those 2 guys. What they did for me is just incredible. If I have to, what was the second one?
UMass. Being the first Quebec.
Yeah. I guess I'll bench that one. Yeah. It's a great honor. It's a privilege. And then I guess being an analyst, I'll cut that one. It's tough, man. Your game is tough, man. Those are. I'm not afraid to answer questions. I do this for a living, so I'm not that guy that's not gonna answer. But listen, guys, the game, and I'm so happy that I got to do this just because I love giving back, and I want to give back to 2 tremendous players out of Quebec that you both were. Played Cégep, played high level Canadian ball. You guys are great people. Respectful, you come from great families, and you're doing great work. And this, to me, talking to, an NBA player, GM, I'd rather do this. And you guys deserve all the credit. And I'm proud of you guys. Keep it up. But it's just the ability that this game has given to me. It's humbling. It's humbling because I get to do a lot of things, and I look back and it's like, there's a lot of hard work, but there's a lot of luck, and there's a lot of people that helped me get there. Not only my mentors, but my players. If I didn't have those great players when we went to Kentucky and I met those coaches, if we had the worst team, nobody wants to talk to Peter Yannopoulos, right? I'll leave you guys with this. This is the funniest story. Brad Stevens used to be an assistant coach at Butler. Okay. And now he's the head coach of the Boston Celtics. Yeah. And Brad used to recruit our guys at Champlain. He used to Pierre Marie, Negus, Maurice. Then he became the head coach at Butler. And he calls me up one day and he says, Peter, he says, you're big time now, man. I see you talking to Kentucky and Duke and Syracuse. All the best programs want to recruit your guys. Do me one favor, Pete. When I call you, just pick up my call. That's all I'm asking. Just pick up my call and talk to me. I said, Brad, I'll always do that to you. Fast forward 10 years later, Brad Stevens is the head coach of the Boston Celtics, right?
Yeah.
And then I go up to him because Boston, I played Minnesota about 4 or 5 years ago in Montreal. So I go into the locker room and I said, Brad, he says, Pete, what's up, man? How you doing? I said, Brad, I got one favor to ask you. He goes, what's that? I said, you're big time now, man. You're the coach of the Boston Celtics. When I call you, can you pick up the call, please? And he started laughing. He goes, I told you that. So you see how life is?
Yeah.
Be nice to people. Don't burn bridges. It's a small community. Let's get Montreal and Quebec to where we belong, and let's do it all together as a community.
Okay, yeah, for sure. I really appreciate your time on here. Like I said in the beginning, every time we did a show after we got some messages from people trying to get Peter on. We're like, don't worry, we're going to do it. We had to get you, and for real, like I said, you paved the way for Quebec basketball. And it's just wonderful to hear you went from, I guess, playing basketball in Sec 2 to where you are now. It's the story's crazy, you can't make it up, so it's just, I just want anyone listening out there that like, it's insane how basketball could do so much for you. I mean, just your story itself told everything. So I really appreciate your time on here and talking to us.
Mm-hmm. Hey guys, like I said, very fortunate. The game has been good to me. And don't ever cheat the game, right? Mm-hmm. You guys know that, right? If you cheat the game will know. So just keep working hard. Same thing to you guys and anybody that's out there. You could do whatever you want. You really can, because you can become a hockey player that started playing basketball at Sec 2 to be able to do some of the things that I'm doing now. But it's been a heck of a ride, and let's keep it going, man. Mm-hmm.
Merci, man. Merci. Je sais que tu parles pas à beaucoup de monde. Pas que tu parles pas à beaucoup de monde, mais comme tu n'as pas drop des jewels à n'importe qui. So, juste le fait que tu as accepté quand on t'a demandé, c'est merci beaucoup. And I'm forever grateful. And juste les personnes qui vont apprendre de cette interview-là, que ce soit des coachs, referees, que ce soit des joueurs, n'importe qui, des GM, n'importe qui. Donc, merci encore d'avoir accepté l'invitation.
Kenny, écoute, t'es un gars de HP, right? On s'est parlé, je t'ai dit, écoute, viens à Champlain, ça va changer ta vie. Ça va changer ta vie sur le terrain puis à l'extérieur du terrain. Tu étais un de nos grands joueurs. Tu étais un gars de poste. Tu étais devenu un gars comme un Kobe, où en fait, c'était sur toi, right? I told him that. Get him at the elbow, let him go to work. Post up, smaller guys, take the big guys à l'extérieur. Puis là, Kenny, t'as travaillé tellement fort. T'as eu de l'adversité, mais tu étais un des grands joueurs de notre programme à Champlain, un des grands joueurs à Québec. Écoute, Cape Breton, one of the greats to play there. Ottawa U, t'as eu tellement une belle carrière. Mais pour moi, quand tu m'as demandé ça, j'ai toujours dit oui tout de suite. Puis c'est pas juste, c'est le brotherhood. Puis, Seth aurait dû venir à Champlain aussi. On l'aime toujours. There's no problem with that. Big Seth. But, no, you guys, félicitations. Continuez. You guys are working hard. C'est du temps que vous faites pour donner. You're saying paving the way, but you guys are paving the way for different things. Anything you need, you always got it from me.
All right. Thanks, man. To everyone listening, don't forget to subscribe. Once again, I'm Seth Moore with Kenny Jean-Louis, and stay tuned for our next episode.